Hey friends, welcome to your final Recruitment Takeover episode of 2025 on the Your Sorority Journey podcast. It is hard to believe that we have arrived at the end of this series and we are on the doorstep of pre-recruitment, work week, spirit weeks, primary recruitment next month for many of you. So knowing that this is probably going to be the last episode you hear from us for a while, or maybe the only episode that you tuned into for this series, I want to leave us on a note that hopefully can solve a lot of our problems and strengthen our sisterhoods through recruitment. And that's this: recruitment requires respect. To experience the level of sisterhood internally and showcase that to your future members of your chapter and your community, you have to respect one another. And that's a really hard thing to talk about or force, but the reality is, respect is most often reciprocated after someone has been courageous enough to initiate it. So, when we think about the roles in recruitment, specifically on the chapter side between recruitment leaders and recruiters, so much of the interpersonal conflict or tension or distrust comes from a root feeling of disrespect. Either recruiters feeling like their chapter leaders aren't considering them, aren't supporting them, aren't creating an experience for them that they're proud to be a part of or know how their contribution makes a difference. Or recruitment leaders, the vice president of recruitment, chapter president, advisors, rotation group leaders, etc., feeling like the recruiters just won't buy in. They won't trust them. They won't give them the benefit of the doubt. I would love for all of us to go into recruitment next week, in a few weeks, with one another's best interests in mind. Not only their best interests, but assuming their best intentions. I think it's really challenging sometimes to overcome that when we have felt like or created this narrative of what recruitment is, that recruitment is hard, that recruitment is exhausting, that maybe you are miserable in recruitment. I know there will be listeners who fall on different sides of this. Some people love recruitment, they eat it up, and others, it's just not their favorite form or favorite week of their sorority membership. Maybe they aren't quite as extroverted or would like some more personal time or just value some other elements of the sorority experience more. I think it's really important for us to recognize that there are inevitable conflicts between these two groups of people, and it's really important that we don't look for their faults and their flaws because they're different than us, but rather embrace an opportunity to bring the collective passion and investment in our sisterhood to the table in the ways that each unique sister has the capacity. So I have four ways for us, regardless of the role that you're playing in recruitment this fall. I actually think this could be applicable on the Panhellenic side as well. I want you to think about these four ways that you can show respect to others that you interact with in the recruitment process this fall. The first is to honor different interests and learning styles. If you are in charge in any capacity, if you are overseeing recruitment counselors, if you are overseeing your recruiters, if you have a small group of recruiters that you are supporting, whatever your role is that is somewhat leadership oriented, I want you to look for ways to creatively train, creatively include, and cultivate participation opportunities of those that you are overseeing. How can you pull from different learning styles, right? So if you're leading a workshop during pre-recruitment, are there opportunities for people to take notes or do an activity? If they're more of like a kinesthetic learner, if they're an auditory learner, is there an opportunity for them to like talk through it with someone in their group or as a small group instead of just like absorbing all of that? Can you create exciting visuals on your PowerPoint versus just having the words up? Can we balance some of the programming with, or like double dip, if you will? Hosting a conversation workshop, maybe also as a sisterhood activity. How can we find ways to accomplish multiple goals that meet multiple sisters' needs? Especially thinking about what different sisters prioritize in your chapter or in your community. How can you bring all of those priorities to the table in recruitment and honor them, showcasing the things that matter to them in an effort to ensure that when they talk to potential members about their experience, they're able to talk about things that they're like inherently passionate about, not forcing others' interests or experiences onto PNMs, unless that is their experience that they want to authentically connect with another sister. We really want to teach our recruiters and our recruitment counselors how to skip the script and speak from authentic experiences of sisterhood. So, how can you, in your leadership role, cultivate community and sisterhood by bringing and elevating all voices to the table? If you're a recruiter or you're a recruitment counselor, if you feel like this experience is happening to you, how can you, in reverse, take advantage of the opportunities that are given to you to use your voice? Maybe some of that is going to look like a little bit of advocacy and say, hey, I missed that. Is there a different way that we could practice that process, or um, have a follow-up conversation about this, just so you feel like you can go into recruitment confident, having advocated for the things that you need. Secondly, I think in recruitment, it goes without saying that things can get stressful. The temperature of our space can get a little heightened sometimes, both literally with a lot of our climates where we are recruiting, but also figuratively with stressors and like competing priorities. If you are a leader, if you are overseeing any portion of recruitment, it is your responsibility. You have been elected or appointed to lead this process, which means that it is also on you to call out and recognize when things are stressful before lashing out. I think it's hard for us to know when that point comes, especially when we feel like a lot of things are stacked against us and we just have to get things done by whatever means in whatever way. It's really important that instead of placing the blame or an overflow of stress, especially on those whose participation we were trying to like cultivate and celebrate, it's really important for us to say, man, things are getting a little stressful. Where do I need help? How can I ask for help? Do I need to take a moment, take a deep breath, drink some water, and then return to the space? Do I need to have a one-on-one conversation with someone so I can decompress? Composure is key. It's really important that you maintain composure to ensure the morale and the tone that you have worked really hard to set is sustained. The same thing goes for recruiters. If you are getting really frustrated with how something is going, it's your responsibility to remove yourself, have conversations, ask for help for what you need before returning to the space. If you are feeling disrespected, unappreciated, that's okay. Instead of complaining to others and forming a small coup in revolt that you are feeling disrespected, how can you process those emotions and maybe advocate for things to look different in a way where change can actually be made? I think that is our goal in stressful situations, is looking for the most actionable step to get what we need. Sometimes the most actionable step to get what we need is removing ourselves from the situation to ensure that the way we respond doesn't hinder our ability to work with and collaborate and like dig deep roots of sisterhood and growth for our chapter or community together. A really good way to combat that takes me to my third point, is when you are looking for the strengths, the beauty, and the contribution in others, it's a lot easier to handle disrespect or lack of trust with other women, right? So if you are feeling like, man, this person is not being very kind to me through this process, but I am so proud of how these women are like looking past that and just doing the work that we need to do really well. When you look for and call out the beauty that you see in others, it really changes the way you feel about the situation that you're in. Tell them. Tell them that they're doing a really good job. If you're a leader, that will go a long way. Maybe you implement some kind of sister shout out throughout pre-recruitment or recruitment where you just have a jar where sisters can write down things that they're learning from one another or ways that they are appreciating one another. contribution or insight that's helping them feel prepared. Maybe someone picks someone else Starbucks. They want to write that down, right? Anything that is making people feel seen and recognized will go a long way. As a member, thank your leaders. If you're really proud of how your vice president of recruitment, your chapter president, your recruitment leader, or your like small group leader or an advisor is managing things, tell them. Be honest and affirm them for the good work that they are doing. Which takes me to my last one, which is just like we tell our potential new members, it's our responsibility to trust the process. We have to trust the process. We have options with how we trust the process, right? We can passively sit back and let the experience happen to us, contributing the bare minimum, maybe maintaining a like low grade negativity and pessimism, making us like low key miserable for the entire experience. Or we can actively show up. We can play an active role in conversations, ask intentional questions, check in on one another, and trust that the people that we have elected to run either our chapter or our community are working in our collective best interest, not just for right now, but for the chapter that we are trying to grow and sustain for years to come. When we keep that end goal in mind of what we are trying to accomplish through this, it makes those moments of exhaustion, malnutrition, tension between one another a little bit more manageable. So if you are in charge, it is your job to bring us back to the why often, to often talk about what we want our chapter to feel like after bid day, what the new members can bring to our sisterhood, what we can do for the most vulnerable group of women on campus, like how we can serve them, how we can support them, how we can come alongside them and cultivate a safe space for them to be invested in one another. If you're a Panhellenic leader, this is just as important, especially messaging that to your recruitment counselors, your recruitment chairs to send down to their recruiters, and also exhibiting a lot of vulnerability to say, like, we can't do this without you. The Panhellenic community on your campus cannot grow without these chapters doing the legwork. And same thing goes for chapters. Like, this is a dependent relationship that our chapters have with our Panhellenic councils, right? So please honor one another as you trust the process and keep that end goal in mind. So as we close, I want to remind us that respect is required in recruitment because you should not be a part of an organization where you don't respect one another. You might not agree with one another sometimes. You might not have done something the same way that someone else did it. You might not condone behaviors that have happened in the past. But at the end of the day, we have to respect one another. That is what it means to be a part of a membership-based organization where our voice matters. The contributions that we make are representative of us as a whole, not as an individual anymore. So showcase that respect. And if you are having a hard time with someone or something or a decision, you have to talk about it. You have to decide if it is worth having a conversation about or getting over through the recruitment process to be able to showcase respect and honor to everyone in the process to demonstrate what sisterhood really looks like lived out. Yes, for the future sisters who are going to join your organization and model that respect after you, but also for your own benefit. You deserve to be a part of an organization that you know why you're a part of. So act like it. Act like it in recruitment. Recruitment does not have to be miserable for those of you who are clenching your fists and like biting down on this like next couple weeks that you're worried about. Recruitment is a joy. And if you are a leader, you were elected on purpose. Yes, sometimes we're elected into roles that we love parts of and aren't a huge fan of other parts. That's okay. It's your opportunity to run with the things that you're really good at and you love, and vulnerably and humbly ask for help in those that you need some support in. I am rooting for you. We are on your team, whatever role you're playing in recruitment. Thank you for investing in sisterhood, believing in it, not just for yourself, but for women who are coming to campus or deciding to be a part of something bigger than themselves on your campuses this fall.